Greetings, Stash White Slouch here. Welcome to Quick Tips. If you want to take private lessons, send me an email. If you want to support the making of these online lesson videos, please become a patron on my Patreon website. In today's quick tip, I want to suggest the act of slow improvisation. I've mentioned it in a few previous quick tips, but I want to go a little deeper today. Slow improvisation. Even if you're working on a fast tune, play it slowly. I want to talk about two types of slow improvisation. One is a very intellectual thing, and that has to do with artificially inserting new theoretical tools into the improvisations you're doing. Not worrying so much about it being the most musical thing, but just wanting to see how you can kind of put new structures, new ideas into real time. So one example of this would be recalling the last quick tip. We talked about a bunch of different melodic structures, one of which being a 4-note structure, which could work well against a 7 chord, is going from the 7, like say a G on an A7 chord, down chromatically to the E, the 5th. So you might be playing the Farewell Blues, and you're going to make a really big point to try and insert this tool in as much as you can, just to feel where this actually exists on the guitar and to feel what it sounds like. So you put the metronome on really slowly and just play through the form, trying to insert the 7 going down chromatically to the 5th as much as musically possible. 3 and 4 and 2. Etc., etc. So the improvisational aspect of that is the fact that we haven't exactly planned out where we're going to smush this in, but you're really trying in real time to insert it without having prescribed the exact spaces. This requires a lot of thinking, a lot of intellectual processes. You know, you have to kind of remember and tell yourself where you are on the guitar, where you are on the form, what chord is coming up. Okay, so that's slow improvisation 1. Very important, very useful. Sometimes the slower the better, just to really train your brain where all this stuff is. The second category of slow improv is maybe a little more abstract. And it's going to presuppose a couple things. We do our best improvising when we're not thinking. If you still have to sit around and do math as to where certain notes are with the chords, there's a good chance you're not ready to feel free. The second presupposition. Within you, there is a certain melody, a certain ideal of what you could already imagine doing on a certain tune. You might not be able to articulate it, you might not be able to play it, or even know how to find it anywhere, but it's somewhere in there. It's like the ideal improv that only you would do because of your life experience. So when we practice the second category of improvisation, we are striving more to be in line with these two presuppositions. This is a really difficult thing to instruct on because for everybody it's going to be different. But we could point out a few things that will tell you that this experience that we're going for is not happening. So here's my suggestion. Take a tune you're already really comfortable with. Play the metronome really slow. For example, 40 beats per minute. Start improvising. What does that mean? It's going to be different for everybody. Some people will stay closer to the melody. Some people will immediately start going off. A couple things that we can look out for though in the slow improvisation. One is analysis. Are you starting to analyze yourself emotionally or intellectually? Oh, what chord should I play here? Or what structure should I use here? There's a good chance you've already gotten too much in your way. Just pause, stop playing, and come back. You start getting critical of yourself. I sound terrible. Pause. Keep going. Those thoughts are always going to happen. And part of what we're practicing here is to just let them go. That's really hard to do, but you're definitely not going to do it unless you practice letting go a little bit somehow. What's another thing you can do? Lightly humming. As I'm playing it, sometimes if I focus on my literal voice as opposed to my instrument, I find that it kind of lets things happen down here in a more natural and flowy way. Then my last suggestion is pay attention to tension in your body. It's a nice way to kind of redirect all this weird, unbalanced intellectual energy on our fingers and sort of move to a different part of our brain to allow maybe some of the creativity to come through. And my last suggestion is record the slow improv as you do this over the course of your life. You might enjoy speeding up the slow improv, and it'll give you hope of what you'll sound like when you're more in the moment at higher speeds. The slow tempo takes a little bit of the pressure off and allows you to practice things like paying attention to muscle tension, listening to the analytical voices and trying to quiet them down or shoo them away, and hopefully letting something come through that can't come through when we're practicing scales and doing structural practice. I hope this quick tip helps you. I suggest it to any level of player who's interested in improvisation, whether you've just started yesterday improvising or have been improvising all your life. Go back and do some slow improv. Please consider becoming a patron on Patreon. Send me an email if you'd like to do some private lessons, and we'll see you next time.